3 consecutive championships, Spurs 136, Eagles 121. Then, practice began the way every Spurs practice does, with defensive slide drill. The message was clear: Thursday is over. The rest of the season starts now. The Spurs showed as much hours later at State Farm Arena, waxing Atlanta 136-121 in a game that wasn't even that close. Dejounte Murray was a monster, matching career highs with 32 points and 15 assists while adding 10 rebounds and 4 steals. It was his 11th triple-double of the season and 15th of his career, breaking a tie with David Robinson for first place on the Spurs all-time chart. Keldon Johnson had 26 points and made a career-best 6 three-pointers, while Vassell shined in place of Derek White. With White traded to Boston, Vassell stepped in and provided 20 points on 9 of 13 shooting. Besides sending their starting shooting guard to the Celtics on Thursday, the Spurs dealt reserve big men Thad Young and Drew Eubanks to Toronto. They circled the wagons well in Atlanta. The Spurs led wire to wire and by as many as 26 points against a Hawks team that, though struggling this season, made the Eastern Conference Finals last season. Murray won an all-star point guard duel with Atlanta's Trae Young, who had 18 points on 6 of 15 shooting and 11 assists. Spurs center Jakob Poeltl made a half-court shot at the first half horn to send his team into the locker room, ahead 73-56. At that point, Poeltl, who had made just one other three-pointer in his career before Friday, had more of them than Trae Young. Here are 3 takeaways from the Spurs' runaway win in Atlanta. Maui's assist numbers might somehow go up post-deadline. Coming into Friday's game, Murray was averaging 9.2 assists, the most of any Spurs player of the Popovich era. The last Spur to average more was Avery Johnson in 1995-96. With White no longer around to help him create with the first unit, Maui's assist numbers could rise even further. That played out against Atlanta, as Murray logged 10 before halftime. In games past, White might have siphoned at least a few of those. Murray was responsible for the bulk of the Spurs' 37 assists Friday, albeit against a Hawks team that had trouble defending its own shadow. It remains to be seen if the Spurs' offense will flow as well against better defensive clubs without White serving as May's pressure release valve. The assists came in droves for Murray on Friday, though. Vassell is cut out for this. Part of the reason the Spurs were willing to part with the 27-year-old White is that his departure would open minutes for younger players who comprise the team's future. Vassell is one of them. Getting the start in front of family and friends in his hometown of Atlanta, Vassell turned in his 4th 20-point game of the season. He did it mostly behind an efficient mid-range game, plus a pair of run-out dunks. The 21-year-old Vassell in his 2nd season and has plenty of room to grow. He is also a lottery pick, taken 11th overall in 2020. On Friday, Vassell did much to reward the Spurs' faith in handing him an expanded role. Popovich said after the game he is thinking of Vassell as the Spurs' starting shooting guard for the foreseeable future. He's earned it. The bench could be an issue. Not everything was wine and roses for the Spurs, even in a game they dominated. The starting 5 did the Lions' share of the heavy lifting, with each player in double figures. With Vassell now in the starting lineup and the Spurs bench temporarily shortened because of trades, the second unit could be a problem. Rookie Josh Primo at last shook free for 13 points off the bench. But aside from the teenage guard and perhaps Trae Jones, the Spurs reserves struggled even in a 15-point win. The Spurs are going to need more from Lonnie Walker if this new configuration is going to work. Walker managed 2 points in 14 minutes Friday, and was 0 for 3 from the field with 2 turnovers. Newly returned big man Zach Collins figures to be an anchor of the Spurs' second unit going forward, but he had a rough night in Atlanta. Collins was 2 of 6 for 5 points and had difficulty keeping the active Hawks off the board. He finished with a -15 in a game the Spurs won by 15. Walker was -16. The only Spurs reserve to finish with a positive plus-minus was Keita Bates-Diop, who left the game in the second half with a possible concussion. Jim Donald at express-news.net. Twitter at jmcdonaldsan.